In a 3-book series, the second one is never anybody's favorite. As fans, we often see book 2 as just a bridge from book 1 to book 3. In some series, book 2 is even skippable. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons why this may be, but I think one line that's considered a staple in every query letter is at fault. I'm not exaggerating at all. The second Hunger Games was literally about Katniss finding out about a rebellion that we knew was going to happen basically from page 1 of the first book. The second Divergent, what happened again? Whatever it was, don't watch the movie to try to remember. The second Shades of Magic literally has nothing to do with the other 2 books. Ask anyone which book is their favorite, and I doubt it's the second. I know there are many factors involved. Publishing deadlines, plotting, especially longer stories, can be difficult. You have new ideas and you can't go back and change book 1. You realize your original plan won't even work. COVID gets in the way. Life gets in the way. You publish book 1 and people start telling you what they want to see happen. But I think the big issue is a tiny, seemingly harmless piece of advice that so many people give to authors working on their query letters. Pitch your novel as a standalone with series potential. As far as I can tell, the reason to give this advice is so that authors understand that agents and publishers do not want incomplete stories. As a reader who likes to read complete stories, I'm very happy about that advice. So here's the problem. Book 1 publishes and the publisher wants a trilogy. Book 1 was a complete story, but now I have to come up with a 2-book story. And that's where the problem is, because we still actually need a 1-book story for book 2, not a 2-book story for books 2 and 3. And because a lot of times they come up with one story for book 2 and 3, book 2 just ends up with all of the not cool stuff and we get a really awesome climax. I feel like along with this that a lot of authors worry about whether their book will be picked up as a trilogy or not. If they're focusing on a 1-book story, they don't have to worry about if it turns into a trilogy or not. But I think this attitude backfires pretty easily. Take Barsk, for example. Barsk is a sci-fi novel that I've talked about on the channel before. It's a great book and very wrapped up. I didn't even have an inkling that there might be a second book or even a third or a fourth or whatever. There is a second book, but it looks like the third one isn't going to ever get published. I don't actually know this. I didn't write Barsk. I don't know the author, but I'm guessing that the fact that the first book was wrapped up so well actually ended up hurting the second book because nobody needed that story to be completed. I wonder if maybe if it had ended differently, where we knew that there was more to this story, that more people would have continued with the second book and it would have been more successful. Mistborn is a great example of how a series should be done. Brandon Sanderson wraps up the story really well within the actual chapters, but then adds in the epilogue stuff that's going to make us excited to read the next book. You see, honestly, it's a problem with the wording. Series potential. Now, I'm not planning a series. I'm planning a book. I'm writing a book. And if it does well, you know, I can write another book and I can maybe come up with something. And we're not getting something like with The Lord of the Rings, where the entire series is complete. It's an entire story. We're getting, oh, here's a story, and then, oh, I gotta make 2 more books. So, here's some stuff that's gonna lead to some really cool stuff, and then book 2 just ends up being stuff. Nobody wants this book 2 of stuff, but this is just my opinion. Let me know down below what you guys think the reason is for book 2 always sucking. This topic came up as I was working on my query letter and my submission docs for my novel. Check out how that went by clicking on the video.